The best leaders and educators on the planet are masters at asking really great questions. In this video, I'm going to share 5 lovely, really practical, tangible tips to ask better reflective questions. If you watch till the end, there is a 100% chance that you will pick up 1 or 2 ideas or tips that will actually transform the way that you ask and lead and converse. I'm Chad Littlefield. Let's get into it. Should you choose to watch this video to the end, I will not hold back. My partner, Will Wise, and I wrote a book called Ask Powerful Questions, Create Conversations That Matter. I'm not even here to sell it to you. In fact, you can get a free digital copy in the link below. But I'm going to share the best of. Right? There's a lot of books that I aspire to read but don't have time to read. And so I'm going to give you the best of how to ask reflective questions in this video. So in addition to writing the book, Will and I created this card deck called We Connect Cards. And in it, the questions are categorized, and 20 questions are purely focused on self-reflection. 20 questions are a little bit more fun and light, and 20 questions go a little bit deeper. And so we included that self-reflection category because typically questions and conversation is really associated with extroverted activity. It's like an extrovert thing. Whereas reflective questions really honor the talents and skills and gifts that introverts have to really think deeply about something. Whereas extroverts speak what's on their mind, but don't necessarily pause long enough to really share something insightful. And so whether you're introverted or extroverted, if you're a leader or an educator or a human being who wants to be a smidge better, you need to be great at asking reflective questions. Now, I could just give you a list, and in fact, you can download a free list in the description. What I'd rather do is teach you how to ask really great reflective questions. For example, one of the #1 tips that I have to ask really great questions is cut out superlatives. Oftentimes when we reflect on an experience, we say, what was your favorite part of that? So somebody comes back from a 3-week trip to Europe, and your question is, what was your favorite part? It does inspire reflection, but it almost cheats the experience, right? They had 3 full weeks, and just to sort of pick just one moment is really tough. And so another way, a question that can't be killed quite as easily is, what is one of your favorite moments from the trip? Or what is one of your favorite memories? So erasing superlatives and adding in what is one of or what is a memory that you really want to hold with you opens up the possibility that you can actually ask that question multiple times. You can actually come up with multiple responses, multiple answers. And so if you want to ask really good reflective questions, cutting out superlatives is a really good way to start. Tip number 2 that I have some structure to your questions. While you can just sit and ponder and think of some reflective question to ask, ideally you have some framework that you're working through. So let's make that really concrete here. So this is actually hot off the press. This is the first one that's ever been printed. To go along with the journal, or to go along with the book, Ask Powerful Questions, we created this guided journal. So when I mean have a structure, this journal is structured in this Ask Powerful Questions pyramid that we talk about in the book. And so the journal actually takes you through a journey of asking better questions. And so starting with intention, right? The invite is to explore and unpack this first level and then to build on it as we go. And so the very first prompt invites you to imagine a future you want to step into and take 3 to 5 minutes to free write about this future. The goal is to write nonstop with no editing, no judging, no etc. And that's a really valuable element because so often when we reflect, we end up assessing something about our reflection rather than just being in the space of reflection. So have a structure. And so even before you start reflecting, consider what that structure is. Is it a shape? Is it a model? Does it work through 3 core words or themes? Right? Give it some model, some structure, and if you can even draw it out and visualize it, that will actually help create more deliberate reflection rather than random reflection. Tip number 3 comes from the journal as well, and you can see the prompt here is write a draft of an initial intent statement. Don't worry about getting it right. This is just a start. Our brains have this fight or flight response, and because there's no saber-toothed tigers and we're not really at too much physical threat most of the time, it's more of a fight, flight, or a need to be right response. And when you reflect, you gotta let go of that need to be right. And so you notice a very key word here. So tip number 3 is draft. draft reflections. And the next page invites you to take a different angle of intent statement. So you're refining and looking at something from multiple different angles. And in order to be able to do that freely, you've got to reflect in draft form. So the best reflection questions ask for an imperfect iteration of whatever it is you're inviting reflection on. Tip number 4, coming from this question here, what would it require for you to acknowledge your need to be right? So specifically the phrase, what would it require for you to blank? That's a really great sentence stem, because when you think about what's needed for something, it pushes your brain into this place to say, okay, what is the absolute essential list of what I would need in order to blank? So if you were reflecting on a career switch, for example, and you wanted to go from the current career that you're in to some totally different industry, you could say, what would it require for me to get a job as a blank? Having that requirement or that needs list is really useful to carry around in your back pocket in terms of moving you forward and creating forward momentum or progress, which ideally, reflection actually takes you back to speed you up or make you more deliberate moving forward, right? It's not just to go back for the sake of, unless you're looking through a photo album or something like that, right? Usually reflection in a professional context is, what did I learn from this? What can I take from it? How can I be better? Tip number 5 is, when you're reflecting, tune into what you're listening about. So there's this idea that Will, my partner in crime, introduced to me, this idea of listening fors. So what are you listening for? The idea that is that we often find what we're looking for and we hear what we're listening for. And so if I enter a conversation with my wife and I'm listening for only her faults and things that she's screwed up, that's the conversation we'll be having. That's what I'll actually hear. Whereas if I listen for the best in who she is and her strengths and what makes her a fantastic human being and how she made the world better, right? My listening for is really going to change that conversation quite a bit. And I would say that the way that we listen actually has the power to change what people say. And so doing some reflection on, what am I listening for? What am I actually hearing for? And if you want to take that to another advanced level, you can separate that out from what did I actually see happen? So what actually happened? Or what did I hear? What was I listening for? And then what is the story I'm telling myself about that? So you create 2 columns here. What actually happened and what is the story I'm telling myself about that idea? You start to parse out a little bit of reality. And oftentimes what I find out is that Kate maybe said this and I took it and extrapolated that and made it this whole thing and assumed that she was actually really upset about when she wasn't, right? I created this whole story based on something that she said that didn't actually speak to that story at all. And so when you pay attention to what you listen for, you reduce the chance that you make up make-believe stories that aren't real and you live in a context and a reality that doesn't actually exist. All of my videos are designed to help leaders and educators make connection and engagement easy. 98% of the time, I don't share and say, hey, look, we got all this cool stuff, you should buy it. And in this particular case, if your goal is to actually ask better reflective questions, to become a more powerful question asker, check out the links below, because you would really enjoy both the pairing of the book and the guided journal, and perhaps the deck of We Connect cards, which come all packed together in this connection toolkit. That started to sound a little bit too as seen on TV for me, but I'm Chad Littlefield. It was lovely hanging out in cyberspace. Your time is the biggest gift you can possibly give. Have an awesome day.